Today we're going to talk about the 5 things that I hate about my bus.
Which, by the way, I don't actually hate. It's just a better title. So, you know.
So as you guys know, and if you don't know, this is my bus. It took about 1 year and 4 months to build, and I've been living in it off and on since December. I would say total, I've lived in here probably about for 3 months. And there's some things I really don't like about the build. Out of everything, I think this is actually probably my least favorite part of the bus, actually, like for real. And that would be the sink. So it doesn't have anything to really do with the sink, but it's the gray water tank. I went with this 5-gallon gray water tank option to go directly underneath the sink instead of routing plumbing down and underneath into a bigger gray water tank under the bus. The reason why this is on the list and the reason why it's the first thing on the list is because it fills up so quickly. You guys have seen me empty this thing out in a bunch of different videos, and it's because I have to empty it out so often. When you're doing dishes, you don't really realize how much water you're using. And because it fills up so often, the dishes tend to pile up. That's because you're not always able to empty your 5-gallon gray water tank where you are. The water just tends to overflow. The sink gets really swampy when you don't empty it right away, and it's really disgusting. We had multiple times where our sink was kind of like a swimming pool of dirty dishes, and it's gross. I don't like living like that. There were a couple of reasons why I went with the 5-gallon gray water system. The first one being time. Money was another. It would have cost a ton of extra money to buy all the extra piping and make sure the plumbing worked properly and route it all the way down through the bus. And then my gray water tank for the shower is over on this side of the bus, and I would have had to pass the exhaust and everything, and it would have been even more of a pain because this is the wheel well here. We're on top of the wheel well. I'm not mad about the 5-gallon gray water tank. I just wish that I could fit a larger tank, but it works. It does the job. But let me show you something. These are the dishes I just did. It is a pretty sizable pile, I'm not gonna lie. And of course, pots and pans always produce more water because you kind of fill them while you're washing them, and then that's a lot of water being dumped. But that pile took up the whole tank. It's filled again. That's probably the worst thing about the bus. The second thing that I hate about my bus. It's gonna fall. That is falling. There we go, that should work. Now I'm not really going in any particular order, but the next thing is gonna be the heat and the AC situation in here. So I have a Chinese diesel heater in here. As you guys know, I've had the worst time ever with the Chinese diesel heaters. I recommend them for heat and the price. I don't recommend them if you want something reliable and you want something that works 100% of the time, because it doesn't. It takes like 3 times, 4 times even sometimes to really get it going and burning clean. And then once it goes, it runs great, but it does run a little hot. It's really hard to regulate the temperature. There are 6 windows on the side here, 6 windows on the side there, a big window up front with a window on the driver's side, big door there, and then 1, 2, and 3 windows back here. With all of the windows, it also gets really hot in here. We did make provisions so we can install one in my breaker panel and all the other electrical. I just don't know what I would want to install. The heat and the AC is definitely something in this bus that if you guys are building a bus, maybe you should look a little bit more into it before you install things, and just make sure you're making the best choice, because it's definitely one of those things that you're like, I didn't think I would need that, but I kind of do. And moving on to number 3 of the things that I hate about my bus, it's this bench. The bench itself is great, but as you guys know, it pulls out for a guest bed and lifts up for storage, but the storage is really difficult to actually access, and that is why the bench is on my list. So anytime I want to access the storage, I can't just simply lift this up. I have to take these cushions off, and you would think, yeah, that's not a big deal. Why are you complaining about that? I upholstered them myself, so the backs are plywood. For today, it's not really gonna be that bad because there's no other stuff on the floor, but especially when there's 2 people in here and it's not just myself, when Leah's here with me and there's some extra stuff in here as well. Yeah, it's just a little frustrating to take these off. And then we can lift. So, gotta move this out of the way. Everything is in disarray here, and then I can lift this up. Need to move the belt out of the way so that it doesn't get caught. Put that one up there. And then we can go ahead and lift this guy up and access anything we need underneath. place just like that. And then we have it back to where we need it to be. So it is a bit of a pain when I have to access stuff under there. Let's move on to the next few things. The last two things that I hate about my bus both go in the bathroom. So maybe I did a bad job on the bathroom. I don't know. Which one do you guys want first? The worst or the one that's not so bad? We're gonna give you the worst. And that is, you guessed it, if you've been watching my videos for the last few weeks, you would know that there's one thing I absolutely hate to do. Emptying the P tank. I hate emptying the P tank. And it fills up really quickly, just like the gray water tank. Every couple of days it fills up. I've seen some different ways that people have done it. One of those ways, I've seen people drill holes all the way down through the floor and actually route their P tank to a larger P tank under the bus, and then at dump stations you just hook up a hose like you would an RV for a black water tank, which isn't the worst option ever. It's definitely not something that I want to do at this moment in time. I have this system kind of down, even though it is a really big annoyance to me. It's not the worst thing ever. And the final thing that I'm going to talk about today that I hate about my bus is the shower. In order to do my hair, I gotta bend the knees real good. I am about 5'11", 6 feet tall. So here in the middle of my bus, I'm all good. I actually bought a bus 6'4" from the floor up, so I would have extra room after I put the flooring in and after I put the ceiling in, so I'd have like about an inch or two of extra leeway space here in the middle. But my bus personally has a big curve. Here in the middle, it's nice and tall, but then it curves down and you lose a lot of headroom on the sides. This isn't the worst thing ever. I can kind of stand to the side. This is typically what I do. I could kind of go like this and wash myself up here, and then I go underneath to wash my hair like that. It's definitely something that could be better, and along with the shower, which technically I guess is number 6, but I'm just gonna put it with the shower as number 5. It's a wet bath, so if you have to use the toilet after a shower, it's extremely wet in here. In my research, in some builds that I've seen online and on different forums, people do roof raises just for this section of the shower. I've also seen people do floor drops. So they'll drop the floor down a few inches and they'll build a whole extra section so they can put their shower pan further down in the floor, and then they don't have to do a roof raise. It's just kind of whatever you prefer, and if you have the skills, the time, and the money for that. When we're on the road, we go to Planet Fitness to shower anyway. I only use the shower when I'm here at home, or if I'm out in the middle of absolutely nowhere and I need a shower. These are the 5 things that I hate. I'm gonna very, very loosely say hate, because I don't hate anything about the bus. Hate's a very strong word. Some of them could have done differently myself. Others, it just is what it is, like the toilet, that's just kind of, it is what it is. I know a lot of you guys watching the videos are building your own bus, or looking into building your own bus, or a van, or an RV, or whatever it might be. So I just wanted to make this video to kind of outline the things that I personally really don't like about my build, so you guys can either not make the same mistake, or at least you know what you're getting into if you are doing the same kind of thing that I'm doing. BeforeIDieOfficial.com is going to be linked in the description. 40% off the entire store, pretty much until everything is gone. So that way I can get some new designs out for you this summer, and we can keep on moving with the brand and get some new stuff on your bodies. So that's going to pretty much wrap up this week's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and without further ado, I'll see you guys next week. Peace.